Hi everyone, welcome to the Piano Keys. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Marina and I help people all over the world achieve their piano goals without years of lessons. This is my sixth and final practice time for Debussy's Clair de Lune. If you'd like to start at the beginning, you can follow the link here. In this video, I'll be starting at measure 51 and I'll be going all the way to the end of the piece. In the practice time videos, I give you a kind of behind the scenes look at how an advanced pianist practices advanced pieces, just to kind of take away the mystery of what we actually do in the practice room. These videos are not meant to teach you note by note because these pieces are really advanced, and if you need a note by note tutorial, you're probably not at this level. I do have an easy piano version of Clair de Lune. You can take a look at it here, and I do have the sheet music for that as well. For this tutorial, I'm using Debussy's sheet music. You can find the link to it in the description box and in the comments, and it might be helpful if you have it. So in this particular video, I'll be working on pedaling and fingering ideas, and I'll be talking about technique and how I practice to be able to play the piece and interpret it in a musical way. Take a look at my free instant piano mini course that will teach you how to read music. If you are thinking that it's really hard to do, it's really not. Go ahead and enroll and you'll get a brief introduction on how to read both the right hand and the left hand. So if you're ready to practice with me, get your sheet music, a pencil, and go to your piano or a keyboard, and let's get started. In this section, we're playing very, very quietly. It's pianissimo, which is 3 pianos, and we're back to the original tempo. So at first, I'm not even gonna worry about the dynamic level, you know, how loud or how soft I play. Just wanna see what the notes are. And the left arm is crossed over the torso to the right because we're playing high. So what I'm gonna do is kind of lean over so that I don't have to, you know, cross too much. When I cross too much, what happens is my wrist has this angle that's not very comfortable. So I'd rather go like this and have a more neutral wrist. So if I'm sitting in the middle, my wrist has to do that. You see, it even looks weird, right? But if I lean, then I'm a much better position. All right. So left hand starts with an F minor chord. And then I come back to my starting note, and now we have, okay, which is a 7th chord. And I'm coming back. I'm still leaning over, and then, so this is a B flat minor 7th chord in an inversion. That's so pretty, very Debussy sounding. And then, I'm not going to say all the chords. Here I have an arpeggiated chord. So I'm going to stop there and take a look. Now, because these are going to go pretty lightly and quickly, I want to practice so that I want to make sure that I'm not going to miss the notes on the way up. Sometimes when you play very, very quietly, there's the danger of not being solid and knowing where the notes are. So that's why I practice kind of loud to start with. Okay, and then moving on. Now we're back down here so I can, you know, be seated more centered. All right, so how would I practice that in order to make sure that it comes out nice and smooth when I'm playing? Well, I could do dotted rhythms. That wasn't very good. So the danger of playing all these black keys is the black keys are very narrow and you could slide off. So when I play something like this, I want to have flatter fingers, not quite so round because I have more surface area making contact with the key. Let's see what finger. So I'm doing 5, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2 for now. Might change later. Okay. So what's the point of doing these altered rhythms? Well, it's a way to play fast, but also a way to think ahead, like have time to think ahead. So I go fast, and then I have time to think, like that. So I can do 3 at a time. See, I'm playing fast, but I'm having a chance to stop and think ahead in the middle of this arpeggio. So now when I play it as is, as written, my hand has had the experience of playing fast, and so it's not a total shock, trying to go fast. Whoops. Okay. So here we go. So the reason I missed that is because I wasn't sure what the notes were coming up. So I'm going to do that 3 times in a row. Actually, I'm doing it 5 times in a row. Okay, and then I'm going to back up and put it in context. So now I'm on measure 53. Now here comes that chord that I practiced. I'm going to do it without talking so I can make sure that I know it. Okay, here we go. Measure 53. So it still feels a little bit awkward. So the trick I'm going to use to remember is I'm playing all the black keys except this one in the middle. So I play 3, I skip 1, and I play 3 more. Because when I get here, my finger's like, should I play this or not? So now I have a trick for remembering. 3, skip 1, 3. I don't know if other people use that exact way of remembering stuff. I'm sure there are people, but sometimes things like that help me. Rather than trying to remember notes, I just look at like even the pattern between the keys. So I'm going to back up one more time, measure 53, and then I'm going to go on. That helped. Okay, moving on. So what can I remember? So I've got white, black, black, white, where am I? Black, black, and then one on top. White, black, black, white, black, black. White, black, black, white, black, black. Okay, and then moving on. And then that one seemed pretty easy. That one's easy. Okay, so let's pause here and look at the right hand. Right hand is quite a bit easier. I'm sure you recognize this is like the main melody from the beginning, but it's quite a bit embellished here. So Debussy has slurs all the way through, meaning don't pick up your hand. And that's why I'm doing these like sideways kinds of fingering. So I'm doing, I mean, I might be changing it later, but for now, let's do, let's see. I I could do 4 here, and then that would give me 1 and 3, going to 2 and 4, and then I can go over 2 and 3, 1 and 4, 2 and 3, 3 and 5, 2 and 3. Then I could do 1 and 4 here, 2 and 3, 1 and 4. So in this way, I played that whole section without picking up my hand. So let me try that again. That works, and it's not hard to do. There are other ways you can finger that, of course, and still not pick up. This is just one of them. And then the rhythm, so it goes 1 and 2 and let's see what fourth finger. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 you notice I changed my fingering, so I'm gonna do it one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 that's how I know it's in 9/8, but instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I count in groups of 3, and in that way, when I get to these, you know, the duples or duplets, some people say duplets, some say duples, then I don't have to figure out how am I going to count them. I just go 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and okay, moving on. I'm not going to count this time. Looks like Debussy wants this whole thing connected, so I'm going to try to do that. That one was not a good planning ahead, because now, well, I could do. If you have notes that are connected that are like 2 notes at a time, sometimes if you just connect the top note, it sounds like it's connected. You don't have to connect all of them. So let me play this again, and if I come across a place where I can only connect the top note, I'll point it out to you. So here I'm connecting. Here, I'm lifting the bottom note, it's okay, and I'm connecting the top note. See that? Same thing here, lifting the bottom note, like that. Now I'm not sure I like that fingering, but you can totally do that. I'm going to try a different fingering. 1, 3, 2, 5, back to 1 and 3. Again, I'm connecting just the top note. Now I'm going to do 4 here, 3. Let's try, I'm still coming up to this 1 and 2, and then having to pick up the bottom note. Okay, I'll pick up the bottom note. 1 and 4, 2 and 3, 1 and 5. Now I have to pick up because I'm playing the same note again. So I'm pointing out all these different fingerings you can do, because again, there's not just one right fingering. There's lots of right fingerings. So let's try 1 and 3 here, 2 and 4, 1 and 2, 4, 3. Okay, so I'm not connecting everything, but I'm getting the gist of it. Okay, so basically all my top notes are connected that can be connected. So I'm going to try hands together, nice and slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and for some reason that didn't work. I didn't play it very well. So notice I'm changing the right hand fingering. I haven't written it in because I really don't need to. I know that I have to connect, and I'll just make it work. In the same way that you don't plan ahead every speech that you're going to give, right? You kind of know the main points, and you just kind of wing it. you can think of fingering sometimes like that. Like you know what you need to accomplish, and you work out the fingering as you need to. Of course, if I wanted to do the same fingering every time, I would write it in, right? So that and there are instances where you do want to do the same fingering every time, because if it's a place where it's like really complicated technical stuff, you don't want to have to figure out fingering every time you play it. Okay, this isn't one of those complicated technical things. So all right, here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and let's see, 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and I'm going to do that again. Now this time I won't count out loud. Now here, where we have that rolled chord in the left hand, in general, when you're rolling a chord, you want to land the last note with the other hand. So again, in general, so it's not every single time. This time I think I'm going to do that, like that. So you see I'm landing that together. If I do it in slow motion, it looks like that. Going to the beginning of this measure, 2, 3, 4, measure 55. If I didn't do that, if I started together, it sounds messy. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I personally don't like that sound. I like it better when it lands together. Okay, moving on. Let's see what I do here. Okay, notice I haven't used pedal at all yet. So you don't want to add the pedal and use it like something to lean on. The pedal should only enhance and not cover up things that you're not doing well. Let's see, where are we? Now here too, I have a rolled chord in the left hand. And I'm gonna landing this together. Oops, sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna move on for now. And I'm glad I used the second finger here, because here comes that. And it's not tied. It's not tied, so I'm going to pick up and play it again. Very similar to the beginning, but now we have a different harmony here. That's very typical, to repeat a melody but put a different harmony under it. It has the combination of having something that is familiar as well as having variety. Moving on, I'm doing this hands together. Let's see. Is that right? So in my music, the flat that should be written here on the C natural to make the C flat is actually written by the D flat, and I think that's a typo, because the D flat is already flat according to the key signature, and that does not sound right to me. Let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a C flat there, not just a D flat. I might be wrong, and then I'm sure he will tell me. All right, moving on. Okay, so you already know how to practice this. I've showed it to you in the first one. Now here we have an interesting thing happening. So the left hand has only 2 notes in that first beat, and the right hand has 3 notes. So the combination rhythm is going to be like this. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Left, right, left, right. So that's the combined rhythm. And then left hand comes over. And then, all right. So moving on, here we have those cool arpeggios that we did in the middle section. So again, this also is very common to bring back an already used theme and wrap up a piece with it. In fact, the Fantasy Impromptu that I finished the practice times on those, Chopin also does the same thing. He brings in the melody from the B section at the very end. I'll link to it here in case you want to watch me practice that piece. So Debussy is doing the same thing. He's bringing back an already used theme to finish out the piece. So here we are. When you're playing these arpeggios, whether your hand is small or big, you still want to have a relaxed wrist. Even if your hand can stretch, you know, all that without moving, which I can't, obviously, I have to move. Even if you could, you don't want to have like just fingers moving. You always want to have a released feeling in your wrist as much as possible. Now, the right hand's gonna play something other than the arpeggio. I could do the left hand arpeggio. So notice what happens. The right hand has this going here. Remember this note? Okay, because the left hand is gonna go play it. Whoop. I'm doing 5, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. So it's taken over the right hand note. So how are you going to do that? You're going to let it go. Don't be afraid of having the hands play one on top of the other. It's fine. It's common. It just feels weird at first, but it's fine. Okay, and then we repeat that up an octave. Does this repeat? This repeats differently. So this fingering does not feel good to me. I'm gonna try 4-2. Yeah, that feels better. 4, what did I say? 4-2-1, not 4-3-2. 4-2-1, 4-2-1. Feels much better than, do you see that? I mean, it's obvious. Look at that. That feels weird and it looks weird. This looks good and it feels good. So I'm doing 4-2-1, 4-2-1. So one of the most common questions I get asked is about arpeggios and scales, how to practice them. So yes, you should definitely know your arpeggios and your scales, you know, the majors and minors for sure. But you can't be glued to the fingering that you practiced when you learn the scales, because it really depends on what you're going to be playing in your pieces. Okay, so and the right hand does, so let me see how I'm going to do that. Okay, that's pretty easy. And then, so now I'm on the 3 before the end. I do it again, and then Debussy writes in the slowing down by having quick notes, then long notes, and then of course you're going to want to slow it down as well. So, and then from here, we do you can play them together. You can play left hand on the right hand. I'm going to figure that out when I add the pedal. So I'm going to go back and play that whole thing, and you can see I have a page turn, so it's not going to be that smooth, but that's okay. I'm just practicing. So I was holding the pedal from before, so I'm going to change it right on this first note. And notice that this note, if you have the music, it really helps. This note is not only a 16th note with the stem going up, but it's also a dotted half note with the stem going down. So that tells us, and plus there's a tenuto marking. That line is a tenuto. So all of this is telling us that this is an important note. As is the next F, and the next F, and then, so you know, see a bunch of Fs in a row, and then we have E flat, then D flat, and C. So he's telling us there's stuff happening, and don't make this note too quiet. So. I'm changing the pedal when the chord changes. In Debussy, you can afford to have a more, you know, like blurry sound because that's the kind of music this is. So far, I've only changed on beat 1 of every measure. I'm going to change here because the chord completely changes. And I change right when I play this bottom note so that I can catch it in the pedal, like that. So going back to the beginning of this measure, so I change here. I change right there. So change. It's hard to talk and play. So I change, and I'm going to change right when I play this note. Okay, because you want to make sure you get that C in the chord. And then change down here, and then I change here. So basically, whenever the harmony shifts, I want to make sure that I follow that with the pedaling. Otherwise, it just becomes a blurry mess. So there's a fine line between sounding blurry good and blurry like, okay, that's just a mess of notes. Okay, we want blurry good. Oh, where am I? Again, I'm going to change here. Change. And change here. And then change here. I'm holding it here. That sounds good to me. Change here, and then change there, change here. Do I want to change? I don't know. Now, here's a question. So I have this A flat that I want it, do I want it to last for the whole measure, or do I want to let it go? So I'm not going to change the pedal in this whole measure. Let's hear what that sounds like. So this is, I don't have measure numbers on my music. I'm just going to start here. You know where that is on your music. So I change here. Now in the next measure, I'm going to play and change just on the first beat. I'm going to hold the pedal for the rest of it. Let's hear what that sounds like. To me, that sounds good, and I get that A flat ringing in the chord. If I don't, if I do change the pedal, then I'm going to miss that A flat. Here's what it sounds like if I change the pedal on beat 2. So. All right, here we are. So I'm changing here, and I change there. Do you hear it just sounds like it's kind of all by itself, and I do want to hold that in the pedal, so I'm not going to change in that measure, only on beat 1. Okay, here we go. That's better. So here's the measure I was talking about. Just changing on beat 1 there. Oops. Here also I'm just holding, change on beat 1 and then hold. For the same reason, I want to hold that, I want to get that low notes ringing in the bass. Let me do that without talking. Okay, now here I'm going to change, let's see, change here, and I definitely change here. So listen, I'm going to do it without changing in this measure. So I'll just change on beat 1. You see, that's messy, that's blurry bad. That's just like, you don't know what you're doing. So I'm going to definitely change when the chord changes. Okay, so now that's blurry, but it's blurry in a way that we can understand what we're listening to. Let's see, what did I do with fingering here? That's what it was. That's so pretty. Okay, and then what did I do? I did 4. That's better. And I'm not going to change here at the end. I'm going to just do that. Yeah, it sounds fine without changing. All right, so clearly, you know, this isn't like finished product, but let me play it once without talking, and I'll do my best. I don't like the way I did that last thing, but that's okay. So there you go. If you've made it to this part of the video, let me know in the comments who is your favorite composer for piano. Let me know if you have any questions or different ideas about how to practice this piece in the comments. Join my private Facebook group, Piano Practice Tips with the Piano Keys. You have to answer all the questions and agree to the group rules before I let you in. I also have a Facebook page that you can follow for updates. Lots of really cool stuff for you on my website, thepianokeys.com, and sometimes I'm on Instagram, thepianokeystpk. Keep practicing, have fun, and I will see you soon. Bye!